Welcome to the JTV Caribbean News. I am Sean Rose. American scientists studying the Zika virus have warned that it could be a decade before a vaccine is publicly available. The virus is linked to shrunken brains in unborn children, leading to severe brain damage or death. It has spread to more than 20 countries and has caused panic in Brazil, where thousands of people have been infected. There is currently no vaccine or cure, and diagnostic testing is difficult. The search for a vaccine is being led by scientists at the University of Texas Medical Branch. More in this BBC News report.
It is the latest virus to send shivers around the world. There is no vaccine for Zika, no treatment. And in the past few months it has been spreading fast to more than 20 countries in the Caribbean and Latin America.
Last year, when it reached Brazil, it really exploded in the Americas and has spread very quickly, infecting probably a couple of million people at this point.
And should people be frightened, especially pregnant women?
Absolutely. You know, if I had a daughter of childbearing age who was planning a spring break vacation to the Caribbean, the next few months I would strongly urge her not to go there at this point.
These young mothers in Brazil did not have that choice. The Zika virus apparently attacks the brains of unborn children, leading to severe disability or death. And so scientists from this high-security lab in Texas have been gathering samples in Brazil to find out more. So many questions, so little time.
Which animals is it infect? How long does it stay in a human? Are particular mosquito samples that we have positive or negative for Zika? And so right now we're really at the beginning stages, and this is the forefront of the work that you're seeing us doing.
The ultimate aim is to produce a vaccine. Although that work has only just begun, scientists here say they could have one ready for testing next year. But winning approval from regulators could take much longer.
Developing an effective vaccine, it would take a very short period of time. What it would take the longest time would be the process of passing it through the FDA and other regulatory agencies to allow it for public use, and that may take up to 10 to 12 years.
And working with insects, which can carry such a dangerous virus, is not without risk. There are around 15,000 mosquitoes in this room from a dozen different countries, and they are kept under very tight security conditions to make sure that none of them can escape. The Aedes aegypti mosquito passes the virus from person to person, but people carry it from country to country, meaning Zika could spread anywhere these insects are present, including the southern United States.
About 25 to 30 million people are at risk of exposure here in the southern United States if we have a local transmission of Zika.
Until recently, hardly anyone had heard of the Zika virus. Now it threatens to become a global health crisis. James Cook, BBC News, Galveston in Texas.
The Caribbean Tourism Organization, the CTO, says the Caribbean recorded a surge in tourism for 2015 that easily surpassed the global growth rate as it set new arrival and spending records. Though there are concerns, the mosquito-borne Zika virus could put a dent in those numbers this year. Nearly 29 million people visited the region last year, a 7% jump that surpassed the 4% global tourism growth rate, said Hugh Riley, Secretary General of the Caribbean Tourism Organization. Visitors to the Caribbean spent $30 billion in 2015, a $1 billion increase from 2014, Riley said. The surge is credited to a stronger U.S. economy, new flights, lower oil prices, and persistent marketing. U.S. travelers accounted for 14.3 million visits, representing roughly 50% of all arrivals. Barbados, Curacao, and Trinidad and Tobago reported the highest growth rates in U.S. arrivals. Meanwhile, there were more than 5 million arrivals from Europe for the first time in 7 years, more than 1 million from Britain alone. Hotel occupancies and average daily rates also increased last year for most hotels, although 1/3 of hotels reported a net loss as they struggled with high operating and air travel costs, said Frank Comito, CEO of the Florida-based Caribbean Hotel and Tourism Association. U.S. President Barack Obama will make a historic visit to Cuba next month as part of an effort to improve the lives of the Cuban people. President Obama vowed to press the communist government on human rights and other policy differences. The trip will make Obama the first sitting U.S. president to set foot on the island in nearly 7 decades. In a series of tweets, Obama cast it as part of steady progression of normalizing relations between the U.S. and Cuba. And in related news, transportation officials from the U.S. and Cuba met Tuesday in Havana to sign an historic travel agreement that will allow commercial flights between the two countries for the first time in decades. The Memorandum of Understanding for the establishment of direct regular flights between Cuba and the United States formalizes the arrangement that was reached on December 16th last year, which stated that a certain number of flights will be allowed from the U.S. to Cuba every day. The deal allows for up to 20 flights to Havana per day and up to 10 daily flights to other Cuban cities. According to the U.S. Department of Transport, scheduled flights to Cuba are expected to start later this year. Charter flights are currently the only air transportation options between Cuba and the USA. On Sunday, February 14, 2016, Dominican recording reggae artist Julie Christmas, popularly known as Divine Songs, launched the long-awaited video to the remix of his hit single Many Waters, featuring renowned Jamaican reggae artist Gramps Morgan of Morgan Heritage. The dynamic collaboration, considered to be Divine's most notable achievement in his music career, took place via social media. This remix to Many Waters is said to have captivated the hearts of many Dominicans, making it a huge hit on the island. Divine says he feels the collaboration with Gramps Morgan is one way to elevate the plateau of music in Dominica. Divine has over a decade of experience as a singer, songwriter, and entertainer, garnered from performing at local, regional, and international arenas. That's it for the JTV Caribbean News. More local news in just a moment. And coming up next on JTV News. Tortola Pier Park gets an A+ rating from residents and visitors. And businesses commit to technical education. In our Hot Trends segment, eCampus puts on an exciting whiz play performance.